All right, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order at 6:32 p.m. We'll start off with report of closed session action. There's nothing to report from closed session. Moving on to approval of the agenda for April 1st, 2025. Do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of the governing board for March 18th, 2025. Do we have a motion and a second?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to our hearing session, we have our Writing Superstar Award, which I see lots of, I'm sorry. Yes. Oh, sorry. It wasn't in my, sorry. See, we all make mistakes, guys. Okay, let's.
But that's why we're here. We're here to get you.
I was trying to be so efficient and it didn't work.
And we were jamming.
And now I'm losing my name tag.
We got these when we went to the conference.
Oh, I did make a mistake.
But wait, then you flip it over.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Let's go ahead and start the Pledge of Allegiance. Catherine, do you want to lead us? Or
Sure.
thank you.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I meant to say Mrs. Cooper. not- I said Catherine.
Oh, that's okay.
You got her all fresh.
All right. Okay, now, see, I was so excited to see all these students here that I wanted to talk about this Writing Superstar Award. So now we will move on to our recognition, Writing Superstar Award, and I will turn it over to Mr. Ed Clement.
All right, thank you. Okay, if you are in the audience and you have an award and you could bring your award and come stand right up here with us. You're gonna stand here and face the audience. So come on up, don't be shy. congratulating you, and I will turn it over to our president.
Board members, anybody?
Yeah, I just want to congratulate you. I happen to feel that writing is just extremely important, and I love hearing that you guys all are excited about seeing your own voice come through your writing, because that's when your writing becomes super powerful. And I think it's just the gateway to so many different opportunities in life. So keep writing, keep it up. Good job.
Congratulations to all of our honorees. You guys are doing great with your writing, and as Mr. Watson pointed out, being able to express your own voice through your writing is really important, because throughout your life, not only will you write a lot of things and need to be able to express your voice when you're writing, but it also gives you the skills to express your voice in just about everything else that you do when you're meeting people, when you're working in your future jobs. That will be a tremendous skill for you to have. So congratulations again.
Super.
Well, I like to read, so it's writers like you that give me that gift. What a wonderful gift to have, to be able to offer other people an escape or information, whether you are writing a novel or a news article or a poem or lyrics to a song. Like, it's a great gift to have, and you guys are, congratulations on your recognition, and we look forward to great things from you.
My colleague said it way better than I probably could ever say it, so I won't repeat. So just a thank you to the parents for encouraging, and the teachers for the encouragement and the constant work, I'm sure, in class. So thank you. Congratulations to all of our students. So thank you.
Great job, everybody. What a wonderful recognition. It's so important to be able to communicate effectively. And the fact that you guys are, in elementary school and you're able to express yourself and share your thoughts and your opinions about things is really neat. And I hope you guys keep that up, and look forward to reading one of your books someday. So congratulations, guys. All right, now we get to the fun part. So we will take some pictures. The board will stand around the kids, get some pictures. Parents, if you want to grab a photo, now's the time. We're going to squeeze tight, guys. Looks like he's taking a selfie. Okay.
That's a torturous.
Right?
Okay. Good.
You done? All right. Okay, why don't? Yeah. Let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break so families can take some additional pictures. And if anybody wants to leave the meeting, they can do that at this point as well. We'll reconvene at 6:48. We're going to go ahead and reconvene our meeting, everybody. I know we have a couple more pictures we're taking on the side. Everybody. There we go. Mhm. All right, I think we got all of our pictures in. Last one. Mr. Wong, come on. What are you doing?
Everybody say cheese.
Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and reconvene the meeting. We're going to start off with our actual hearing session. So advance written request to address the board regarding agenda and non-agenda items, board bylaws 9320, 9322, and 9323. Each speak to the process used by the governing board to allow for public comment during its meeting. The bylaws are in compliance with the Brown Act and other applicable law. Board Bylaw 9323 specifically outlines the process for members of the public to address the governing board on agenda and non-agenda items that are within its subject matter jurisdiction. Members of the public wishing to address the governing board are asked to do the following prior to the start of the public comment section of the meeting agenda to ensure that appropriate time is allotted to all interested speakers and topics. The speaker must either complete a speaker card for each item they desire to speak on and/or notify the assistant to the superintendent of each item if attending the meeting in person. This notification is requested to allow the board president to consistently implement public comment guidelines provided in Board Bylaw 9323. Members of the public wishing to make public comment via telephone or virtual meeting software must notify the assistant to the superintendent via email not later than 4:30 p.m. on the day of the scheduled meeting to ensure that that person has the same opportunity to address the board under Board Bylaw 9323 as those who are in attendance. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes per topic for public comment. The total time allotted for each topic is 20 minutes. Depending on the number of persons wishing to be heard on a single topic, the governing board may adjust the time allotted for each speaker or the total time allocated to the topic issue. The president of the board may take a poll of speakers for and against the topic issue to determine how best to allot time on each topic issue. Members of the public who wish to address the board do so either in person or via Zoom. A speaker may read a statement from an individual not in attendance. However, their allotted speaking time will not be extended to read such a statement. A timer visible to all attendees will be used to manage time during public comment. Any speaker who exceeds their allotted time will have their mic cut off. To ensure that non-English speakers receive the same opportunity to directly address the board, any member of the public who utilizes a translator shall be provided at least twice the allotted time to address the board, unless simultaneous translation equipment is used to allow the board to hear the translated public testimony simultaneously. Please remember that state law prevents the board from acting on any matter not listed on the agenda or from discussing any such matter in detail. Okay, and we have a couple of speaker cards. I will start off with Michelle Joseph.
Good evening, board members, cabinet, colleagues, community members, and families. First of all, I want to start out by thanking Dr. Hawkins and the board members for taking time to visit the schools to see what's going well and what needs to be changed. So thank you for that. Tonight, I'm going to talk about access for materials and the need for coordination. On November 1st this year, I attended the district's Professional Development Day. Part of the day was spent with Dr. Hawkins, who brought back the stop, start, and continue from previous years. I brought up the fact that certain classes were not being provided access to certain materials for students who are working below or far below grade level. Dr. Hawkins was actually surprised that this was happening and agreed we needed access to those materials. And she promptly put out an email and rectified the situation. Thank you. It was much appreciated. I don't know why it happened in the first place. A decision was made, whether based on the expense of the materials, grade levels, or something else. I have no idea. Dr. Hawkins apparently was not aware of it either. And I saw another example of when I went to an in-service earlier this year. Classes that needed materials and technology did not have what they needed. The person who led the in-service wasn't aware of this. And again, it was handled quickly and those teachers now have what they need. So these things are being handled quickly, which we are grateful for. We appreciate that. The issue of concern is that departments, there seems to be a disconnect between departments. The departments seem to be making some decisions without realizing the impacts of those decisions on other departments, programs, and teachers. I'm not sure where this disconnect is, but there needs to be some coordination between and among departments so everybody in the district has the materials and supplies that they need in order to do their job effectively. So all I'm asking at this point is to please work on just kind of creating more coordination and cohesion at the district level in order for everybody to be able to do their jobs, be it the principal, the office staff, the teachers, support staff, custodians, et cetera. So just if we could coordinate a little better on what people need as they're doing their job. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to Ari.
On December 25th, over winter break, a yard duty I love very much who worked at her name is Miss Jennifer. It was hard to come back to school and not see her laughing and smiling. It was hard to know she wasn't there anymore. Miss Jennifer helped us if we had an argument or if we had no one to play with us. One time I told her that I didn't get along very well with my sister, and she gave me some great advice. It felt like she wanted us to be happy, not only at school, but at home, too. If I was sad, she would ask me if I was okay. She would love to see me and my friends, and I have fun and be happy on the playground. Every day we miss Miss Jennifer so much. I get sad when I think about her, how she's not there for us or her own family anymore. I was asking about a memorial for her. Our school PTA 6th grade class of 2025 principal and community are working on making a place in our school we can look and remember her smiling at us and making us feel better throughout the day. Maybe it'll help kids think of Miss Jennifer and how awesome she was. Please help the school in any way you can. I can't wait to see what happens when everyone works together to make a memorial that would be at the school forever.
Ari, what you just did was probably one of the best memorials you could ever have given to Miss Jennifer, and you should be extremely proud. And I know she's very proud of you right now. I can only imagine.
I'm sure you have what you spoke written down. I'm sure her family would love to have that if there's any way we can get it to her.
I'm sure Miss Bolina will help.
Okay.
Nice job. Okay, moving on to Karen Frost.
Wow. How do you even follow that up? That was
Mhm.
really amazing. I'm sure you're very proud. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about climate, not exactly in the context that most people think about when they talk about weather, but in the climate of working conditions, and specifically in the working conditions of this district. Over the last 2 years, I've heard countless parents come to this podium and express their frustration on a myriad of issues, including but not limited to behavioral issues, transparency complaints, and some school safety concerns. I've also heard teachers and paraeducators come to this microphone and talk about their frustrations with the working conditions in the district. I started with the Saugus Union back in 2006. All 4 of my kids went through the school systems here. And I can tell you that the climate that I'm seeing now is not what it was before. It wasn't always like this. I would have never believed that close to 80% of our teachers would conduct a survey that says they're unhappy with the district they're currently in. I would never guess that several of my kids' beloved teachers would leave Saugus Union to go teach in a different district. There are many, and I'm not going to put them on the spot by naming them here today. I have mentioned before that I've reached out to other school trustees, district employees at other districts within this valley to find out if they're experiencing the same challenges that we are having here. And the short answer is no. Not to say that things are perfect anywhere, but the teachers and parents in the Newhall District and Castaic and the William S. Hart are generally very happy with the way things are run. So why are things so different here? Why does it take an act of Congress for trustees like Mrs. Grease or Mrs. Garibay to have questions answered for them on the dais? Why did we fire our school counselors without consulting families and teachers? Why does it take years of coming to this podium with complaints to see action on things like a behavioral council? Why have we had no updates on the behavioral council? It feels like this district is just running the clock and waiting for the school year to end, hoping that this isn't going to be brought up again next year. This is the current climate of Saugus Unified, and it's neither transparent nor inclusive. Thank you.
We have a Zoom caller, Dan DeLeon. Mr. DeLeon, can you hear us? You're muted.
Okay, there you go. I'm very sorry. First time on Zoom here.
That's okay, right on time.
Okay. Hi, my name is Daniel DeLeon. I've been a resident of the district for about 15 years. I have a daughter attending your school district. This is directed at Dr. Hawkins. Dr. Hawkins, you stated at the last meeting that you're going to provide a behavioral council update, but you only very briefly explained what the next steps were without any detail as to what was accomplished in the first full day meeting on March 13th. What were those takeaways? When are the next 2 meetings? And what are the expected takeaways from those? We effectively have 2 months left in this school year. As you stated, Dr. Hawkins, teachers will be off for the summer and unavailable to meet. Do you plan on having solutions in place for the beginning of the next school year? Mrs. Grease was right on when she stated in her board report at the last meeting, we're expecting to hear more details with expected actions from the Behavior Council. Mrs. Garibay has stated that we will continue to have regular updates from the Behavioral Council. The council has met twice so far, but from where we sit, it looks like it has stalled. Why? Number 1 is not on tonight's agenda, and number 2, because of the lack of transparency in details from you at the last board meeting. The behavior issue is a safety issue. It affects all of our teachers and staff and students. Dr. Harkins, providing a safe learning environment for all stakeholders is your number 1 job. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Timben Boydston.
Good evening, President Garibay, board members, and Superintendent Hawkins. My name is Tim Ben Boydston, former city councilman, and the wife of an amazing longtime teacher here in the district, Ingrid Boydston. This evening, I will be reading a statement by her because she has a prior commitment. So this is from Ingrid. Good evening. First of all, thank you, Mrs. Grease, for making time to spend time with my kindergarten class. It's so reassuring to know that you have a firsthand idea of what we are trying to accomplish and how delicate the balance is. If there are any cabinet members who are still unsure about the severity of the problem, you should know classes are still being evacuated due to big behavior issues, even though we've been in school over 130 days. It isn't something that was an anomaly, nor will it go away. without our ongoing consistent efforts. To that end, thank you, Dr. Hawkins, for adding the book, The First Days of School by Harry and Rosemary Wong, to the list of resources we are using as we rebuild our behavior management system here in Saugus. I believe it will really help balance out and build up the areas that we may be currently lacking. Finally, I'm personally aware of the clarifications and changes we have already implemented this year, such as the freedom to use behavior management tools that help teachers help students learn to regulate their own behaviors, such as clip charts, flip charts, and class dojos. I know the board has untied our hands and suspensions are allowed when necessary. But when this and when will this and the rest of the information be communicated to all of our teachers? At one point, it sounded like there would be a report made at staff meetings. Then it sounded like an email would be sent to update and clarify teachers, but we haven't heard anything yet. I look forward to when that information is fully disseminated, and I thank you for your continued support and attention to the matter. Those thanks extend to the board, the cabinet, the teachers, and includes all of the parents, grandparents, and community members who are diligently working alongside us to keep this progress moving forward. Thank you, and God bless Saugus. That is from Ingrid. As many of you may know, has been teaching in the district for many years as a kindergarten teacher at the amazing Bridgeport Elementary School. And prior to that, as a 6th grade teacher for many years at the soon-to-be late and great Santa Clarita Elementary. Something that I know that several people are here week after week, diligently on the 7-Eleven committee, making sure that that property and the legacy of that school lives on in a very positive thing, whatever that is that you decide to do. So thank you and God bless you all.
Thank you. Laurel Castagna. This is the former teacher feedback. Yep.
All right. So this is former teacher of Saugus Union School District, Denise Turner, wrote to us and asked us to share this statement. The biggest thing that I notice is that people constantly come up to me and ask me, why are Saugus teachers so miserable? I often ask them, how much time do you have? When Dr. Hawkins first came to SUSD, she essentially told teachers that she was going to fix the district. Her words did not sit right with me. It was not an encouraging way to begin the school year. Teachers have too many meetings in Saugus Union School District and aren't afforded the time to plan and work in their classroom. This needs to change. Saugus needs to trust the teachers to be professionals that they are and stop trying to jump on all of the bandwagons. Treat your teachers better. Treat them as humans. When they come to you and raise a concern, support them, not with words, but actions. The behaviors needed to be addressed. There needs to be real consequences. The district needs to bring back people, counselors, behaviorists to support teachers in the classroom. Teachers should feel valued and at a minimal, some satisfaction in their job. I can name numerous teachers who either want to leave and come to my district or who want to quit education altogether. Saugus District needs to do better to make their staff feel valued and supported. There's my thoughts in a nutshell. I could say more, but I won't. Teachers who come from SUSD feel as though they've been through trauma. The district rules with fear and intimidation. It is not a good place to work. That's why I have teachers reaching out to me ready to leave. If positions open up, there will be more good teachers leaving Saugus School District. It's sad. Parents need to continue to support teachers because the stress there is real. Not hire more advocates and attorneys and put more unwanted stress on teachers. Their plates are full. My heart will be forever with SUSD, but I can't teach there. It's sad. Thank you.
Laurel, do you want to hang back and for your next one? That way you don't have to get up twice. You're welcome. The next one is conscious behavior.
Okay, I'm ready. Good evening. Dr. Hawkins, when it comes to big behaviors, I can only imagine that you are feeling like this level of site management shouldn't be a topic of discussion at board meeting. And you would be correct. Under normal circumstances, unfortunately, your failure to address the district-wide behavior problem sooner rather than later has caused it to escalate into the public arena. It's too late to simply say, "Don't worry, I've got this now. We're working on it." At this point, because it took so much public comment to raise awareness to this problem, we are expecting to see the step-by-step progress toward a resolution. And it's not as simple as reporting, "We have had a good meeting, and we're going to have another one soon." The big behavior issue is out in the open, and coming to a resolution must remain out in the open under the public's watchful eye until we see a public resolution. This means we need to do better, more detailed updates and reports from you. Dr. Hawkins, that's the only way you'll be able to win back the trust of the parents and the public. And to each of you board members, we are holding each one of you accountable for holding your one employee, Dr. Hawkins, accountable for a transparent resolution to this issue. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to Tammy Messina. Same topic.
She's tall.
Mhm.
I took a tour last week of SCVI to see how they've implemented SEL and understand why it's working there so well, but struggling here. My conclusion was this: they're running classrooms that are nearly 30% smaller than ours. They have physical open classroom structure that allows teachers and staff to support each other when a child becomes dysregulated. The walls between classrooms are waist high. They don't have to radio to another adult to assist and wait while the dysregulation escalates. Issues are addressed promptly, and there's another staff member within line of sight who can keep an eye on things while they address little Johnny's immediate need. Teachers work collaboratively with and provide support to each other throughout the day. Even though they have their own classroom, there's an open line of continual cooperative teaching that flows relatively seamlessly. It would seem that Saugus Union cannot effectively make this model work well without making major structural changes to the physical classroom by knocking out some walls, to personnel structure, increasing classroom support, and reducing class size. Perhaps the district's rollout and implementation of PBIS and SEL is struggling because Dr. Hawkins hasn't considered all the logistics and is trying to make a square peg fit in a round hole. Alternative behavior programs like PBIS and SEL acknowledge in their documentation that these models require more one-on-one time with students, as well as a team of support staff for that child, in order to be effective. That means more staff available to work individually with students exhibiting big behaviors. Are you able to provide that support at the classroom one-on-one level? Dr. Hawkins, you've routinely mentioned budget constraints. And given the reality, can these behavior models truly be implemented successfully and with fidelity as suggested by the Keenan report last year? Because we've seen an increase in big behaviors rather than a decrease after the implementation. The book Don't Suspend Me acknowledges, although it may be challenging, this is a quote, although it may be challenging to allocate so many resources for one student, the ultimate goal is to help the student learn and change their behavior. Without an intentional focus on alternatives, the student will continue taking time away from your staff throughout the school year with continuing behavior challenges. This sounds exactly like what the district is facing and what the teachers have been reporting to us. The big question for you, Dr. Hawkins, is how are you planning to fix this implementation without addressing, one, the student to teacher ratio, and two, the need for additional staff support? How long is it going to take? Our teachers and students are waiting. But thank you, board, for listening.
Karen Carville. Yeah, conscious discipline first and then library time second.
On the agenda tonight is approving another costly consultant company called Conscious Discipline, developed by Dr. Becky Bailey. It will cost almost $6,000, which includes an expedited fee, since we reserved them less than 30 days in advance. Actually, last Friday we booked them to have this training to be done on 4/15, our next behavioral meeting. I hope the 5 board members scoured the website like I did. There are videos and lots of explanation on Dr. Becky's 3-brain philosophy and how the frontal lobe isn't developed yet. Sounds very basic child development to me. I have a bachelor in psych, and this is a simple study of Freud's id, ego, and superego and defense mechanism. To be honest, our teachers have bachelor's, credentials, masters. Can we trust that they already know this? Do they want this training, or is this another Hawkins idea to take over and control the meeting? Let's see. Let's review. The first 1.5 hour meeting was her talking most of the time. The second one, she passed out books to steer the conversation. And now this time it's turning into a training and lecture. Stop being so controlling, Dr. Hawkins. Let them come on the 15th and do their thing. The purpose of this group of people is to brainstorm on ways to curb bad behaviors. If we're going to delegate a job to a group of people for solutions, then we need to be okay with the outcome. Even if they come back and say, children need more consequences, even if they say they want to fire all the social workers and bring back counselors, whatever the outcome is, we've got to deal with it and accept it. Thank you for finally giving me the list of who's on the committee. There are 31 teachers on it, which we will pay approximately $5,890 for substitutes to cover those classes that day. The committee also includes 9 staff members that are board certified behavioral analysts, 15 social workers, and 7 district staff. In my opinion, no one from the district should be at it. Sadly, there are no paras, subs, or campus supervisors where many issues happen. So please do not approve this unnecessary agenda item, and due to this potential waste of time, a board member should be in attendance on the 15th. I don't trust another district takeover. And one last thing, just to be clear, I am not discouraging the committee. I am simply discouraging this company and hiring them. They're from Florida. Let me guess, we're probably paying for hotels for them. I don't know. It'd be great to get these answers when you have the discussion of what exactly this potential cost may cover. That's it. Pam Dahl. Library speech.
Library times.
Okay. I am speaking in regards to the library times that changed at our schools. Our children went weekly for 30 minutes last year, and now they go every other week for approximately 50 minutes. The format is even different. Used to be 10, 15 minutes to look for a new book, and the librarian read a story with discussion. Now, instead, they give a big lesson on the flat panel. That's not what the library is for. Personally, I will speak for myself. I don't want my child anymore looking at that big screen than they have to. The whole day there's tabs and they've got screens all day long. It's terrible. I have written an email questioning the change. A board member has asked repeatedly for some sort of communication, and according to the teacher survey, it is a major grievance. They don't like it. According to the survey, 65% of our teachers don't like the longer time. In addition, it's all over the November 1st start-stop activity. According to a public records request, a committee was supposed to be formed to get info on the library, Edwin Clement. I don't understand why there has to be such a process. Maybe you can tell us the status of that. Edwin Clement, what is going on? Have you been instructed to not speak about this or answer questions? Is Hawkins ignoring her boss's request? It is part of her job to comply and direct her staff. The word I used in my email to you, which you haven't answered, was insubordination. Insubordination is defined by the act of deliberately disobeying a superior's lawful order. In the workplace, it's considered a serious breach of conduct and an act of defiance against authority. Jennifer, if you can listen to me, what's the HR policy for staff members that refuse to comply? If he was a teacher, there would be some sort of write-up, I would assume. or you would be punished by moving grades in classrooms. If you were a sub, you'd be blackballed and not allowed to sub in any other position. I guess the next option that I'm forced to do is contact each school and find out who their librarian is. I have lots of friends in various schools. It will be easy. If you are a librarian and would like to speak out about this, please reach out to me at misskarank@aol.com. misskarank@aol.com. I will keep my sources confidential. Edwin, please do better. And Patty, can you make sure this is on the next agenda? Thanks.
All right. Last speaker card, Jackie.
Two topics, is that okay? One was on behaviors and one was directed at Mr. Watson's notice that he sent out.
It's fine. Make sure you fill out a second speaker card afterwards.
Okay. So I will start with the behaviors one. When I get my notifications on Parent Square on my home screen, I don't know what school, district, or kid it's for. When I saw this one pop up, I thought, wow, we might be making some progress. It read, Student Climate Survey, March 2025. Well, it came from the William S. Hart District. And it was sent to kids in grade 8 and 10. It says, please answer honestly. Your responses are anonymous. It goes through basics, school, grade, gender, home, language. How are your grades, missing school, self-harm. And then on question 15, it says, during this school year, I am seeing high levels of tension between students and teachers. And they answer that. And then at number 16, during the school year, I'm seeing high levels of tension between students. I have seen tension between students result in physical altercations or a fight. So it goes on, it's 35 questions total. Anyways, I don't know if I'm going to read all this. The point being that there is ways to get information quickly and possibly anonymously if that's necessary. So the last question says, generally speaking, when students break the rules, the consequences they receive are appropriate. That's the question. So just to clarify, they are sending these as check-ins for the behavior climate at school. They already have set guidelines, which I feel like we are completely lacking. And it's just a check-in to make sure that everything's going as they hope and if anything needs to change. So I will mention that at our first behaviors meeting that I attended, Dr. Hawkins sort of blamed behaviors on COVID. And I just want to point out that that was 5 years ago. I will also mention at the last meeting that I wasn't able to attend, but I watched, she spoke, I believe, for under 2 minutes about the updates, which were not given. I'm hoping to speak for 6 minutes, spreading it out between 2 topics. And she's been talking a lot about her involvement visiting schools, which, like I said, I'm new coming to board meetings, so I don't know if this has not always been the case. I feel like that should be part of your job. I would like to point out that all of my involvement with this has been completely volunteer, as well as helping in the classroom. And it feels like a lot of excuses. We need to find different pieces. We will bring finalized consequences lists once we have it. Okay, so that's all I have for that, I guess. Okay, so the second thing is I'm going to read a post. I don't know if that's the right word, but okay. It says, attention SUSD parents and staff. If you are experiencing or have experienced behavior issues at your school site, board member Matt Watson would like to hear from you directly. So he has firsthand accounts. Please call Mr. Watson, his phone number. And then it says, Mr. Watson has not seen any of these things teachers and parents have described and would like to hear directly from the community. Okay, that's quote.
that's the end of it. My question, I don't even know where this was posted. It was only sent to me because someone knew that I'm coming here. So that it was just an FYI. So I'm not sure where it was posted in the first place. And I would like to say, I appreciate you trying to get involved and collect more data, which I don't think we need, but I don't think the way you're doing it is effective at all. It will not be accurate. I only saw the flyer because it was sent to me. I'm not sure where it was posted. When I've told other parents about it, their response has been, who is Matt Watson? If you aren't already involved at the district level, which I hadn't been until recently, then you don't know how this whole thing works. It's a whole new world as a parent. I have just experienced that. So you will not probably be getting honest and true stories if parents have no trust or relationship with you already. Also, why should the parents have to be the ones speaking out if an incident has occurred? The teachers and the principals should already know about it. And the yard aides or whatever they're referred to. Is it not already being reported somewhere? Who's the gatekeeper of all that information? Like I said, from day one of speaking at these meetings, the teachers are who you should be listening to. They are in the classroom every day. And you mentioned not seeing these behaviors for yourself. How often are you in classrooms? So at the bottom you wrote, you have not seen any of these things described. But during the last meeting, you did say that you saw a big behavior during your school visit. You said, quote, all the other students seemed unaffected by the meltdown. I'm really glad that they kept it together and didn't make the situation worse, but please do not assume that this does not affect the other students when it's happening. Or because it happens so often, are they really not surprised anymore? This is what they've grown up with. You also mentioned one teacher wasn't even enough to handle the situation. A second adult was needed. Please really think about that. Now, I have to admit it feels offensive that all my time spent coming and speaking at these meetings seems to be dismissed. I'm assuming everyone sitting up there does not have elementary age children except for the board president. So you must forget how busy this time is for parents. I do not speak at these meetings because it's fun for me. I'm only here speaking for the children who can't be here and also parents who aren't comfortable doing so.
Thank you. Madam President, I'd just like to take a moment to respond.
Sure.
Thank you so much for your comments. I just want to clarify that I made no such post and have not said that I'm not seeing these behaviors. I too am not sure where it's come from, but I appreciate your comments.
Okay, moving on to Saugus Teachers Association, Ms. Linda Valdez, or I'm sorry, Ms. Sue O'Brien.
If I get to be, I know you are all upset that I get to be here today. Good evening, board members, cabinet, colleagues, community members, and families. Congratulations to the evening's award recipients. As always, we are very proud of you. Our spring teacher conferences are underway. This is an important time of year as we head into our final trimester and students make that final push in preparation for their next grade level. District and community stakeholders have had opportunity to review the Local Control and Accountability Plan, or LCAP, and offer suggestions. CTA leadership has encouraged members to be astute in understanding and interpreting the LCAP and comparing its significance to that of our negotiated contract as the bargaining unit members continue to review, discuss, and provide feedback. We are grateful to have the opportunity as it has been several years since this has occurred. I'm certain we can all agree that input from stakeholders who work directly with students day in and day out should be considered with high regard. On that note, we understand that our library specialists have been surveyed about this year's new library schedule, with students in grade 3 through to 6 visiting the library every other week as opposed to weekly, which was done in prior years. Since August, teachers, parents, and students have shared concerns and frustrations with schedule. But Mr. Clement said we would have to try the new schedule for 1 year before the district would consider changing it. Well, we are closing in on the end of that year. And as schedules are reviewed and created for the 25-26 school year, we are asking the board to provide the district direction on this. Please listen to the teachers, parents, and students, the community stakeholders you are representing. Allow students adequate weekly access to their school libraries and books that encourage reading, research, and discovery. As the plans for universal dismissal are being developed, our bargaining unit members who work with our transitional kindergarten and kindergarten students look forward to participating on the TKK committee, which will review and agree upon the most critical curriculum for our youngest students. Our hope is this committee will be formed sooner than later to ensure a smooth transition, and so preparation can take place before the conclusion of this school year. The new dismissal times will have a big impact on many of our family teachers and paraeducators. We all want to be ready. Lastly, our union and district negotiation teams will be going to the table again the week after break, and we are hopeful the district will provide us with a fair salary increase. Now, I was going to yield only for questions, then continue to speak for another 24 hours, but Senator Booker already beat me to that, so I yield the floor. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ms. O'Brien, I believe the TK and K meetings have already been arranged for May 8th, I think it is. I don't remember exactly the day. I just found it out last week, so.
Great. Okay, moving on to California Schools Employee Association, Ms. Sylvia Arnon.
Good evening, Cabinet, board members, community members, and families. Congratulations to the writing superstars who were acknowledged here tonight. Your writing is a creative expression that enhances critical thinking, a meritable method of articulating thoughts, and an imaginative channel for personal expression. Way to go. Classified employees report being busy at work. They continue to receive motivation from the students they serve and enjoy being part of the school community. Complaints keep pouring in about behaviors. The face of elementary school education has changed a lot in recent years. It would be highly beneficial to include classified employees, paraeducators, and campus supervisors to be part of the behavioral committee. Although morale continues to be low, classified employees do not get discouraged and are ready to face the many challenges that come their way. The hope remains that their merits are recognized and that their efforts and talents are seen. Negotiations continue. We are hoping to move forward towards achieving some benefits for classified employees whose struggles and recognitions continue to be overlooked. We remain positive, but are feeling discouraged. Our efforts to appeal to the board are falling on deaf ears. Classified employees and our negotiation team are feeling the stress of lingering negotiations. We find solace in remembering that tough times never last, but tough people do. Classified employees are tough people who, amidst adversity, find inspiration and joy in the excitement of children who celebrate small victories at school each day. Thank you.
All right, Saugus Administrators Association, Mr. Merle Soni.
Good evening, President Garibay, board members, Superintendent Hawkins, and Cabinet. My name is Merle Soni, and I'm the proud and lucky principal of Cedar Creek Elementary. It is my privilege to stand before you tonight on behalf of the Saugus Administrators Association. There is so much to celebrate tonight. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate our students who earned the Writing Superstar Award. Journalism was my major in college, so I have a deep appreciation for writing. I'm always moved by the work our scholars produce. Well done. I would also like to take a moment to congratulate our 6 schools who were selected for the 2025 California Distinguished Schools Award. What an amazing accomplishment. Thank you to all of our staff, students, and families at each one of these schools. It takes all of us working together to accomplish this level of excellence. Congratulations to Cedar Creek Elementary, Mountain View Elementary, North Park Elementary, Plum Canyon Elementary, Rosedale Elementary, and last but certainly not least, West Creek Academy. This evening, I'm going to talk about something that impacts us all, student engagement. Research demonstrates a strong correlation between increased engagement, positive teacher-student relationships, and a decrease in behavioral problems. Student engagement is about how students connect with learning, their peers, and their goals. When students are engaged, they move from simply taking in information to asking questions, challenging themselves, and finding ways to apply what they learn. Engagement transforms education from a passive experience to active learning. Student engagement also thrives in community, supporting each other, collaborating, sharing ideas, and helping one another grow. Let us remember that the most successful people didn't reach their goals alone. They built relationships and leaned on their teams. Each one of our schools has been and continues to focus on student engagement. At Cedar Creek, we created more leadership opportunities for our students. Our kindness ambassadors work collaboratively with our student council to sell grams, greet families in the morning before school begins, and create posters promoting various school events. Our flag leaders were trained by a fire captain on how to properly hang and take down the flag every morning and afternoon. Our garden club tends to our small garden, while our green team beautifies the school. Most recently, our third grade scholars have taken charge of our Wednesday weekly winners announcements. At Bridgeport Elementary, Mrs. Stanley facilitates multiple school service opportunities such as the Green Team, Recycling Heroes, Peer Mentors, Student Service, Helping Hands, Junior Coaches, PBIS Student Leaders, and they give back to the community. At Rosedale, they're wrapping up their March Madness, which I stole a lot of good ideas from our sites. Reading event. Sixth grade student leaders compiled 16 picture books for the whole school to read and vote on. They had fun announcing the Elite Eight, Final Four, and yesterday they revealed the winner at their Monday morning announcements. Duck Wars is another student engagement activity at Rosedale that Rosedale has implemented. Each grade level competes to find mini ducks hidden around the campus, which is encouraging positive attendance because if students are not at school, they can't be searching for ducks. On Thursday, they will celebrate the grade level that found the most ducks and the grade level that had the highest attendance. And last, our recycling program is in full effect district-wide. Rosedale student leaders are helping other students understand how to sort their trash during recess and lunch. At Plum Canyon, they have a 6-week daily attendance challenge. Student leaders are doing a presentation for each class, sharing information about the new recycling program. And that's not all. Plum Canyon leaders provide daily support, such as walking younger students to class, creating posters, promoting upcoming events, and doing school-wide announcements every Friday. Students participate in school site council, weekly art crafts during lunch, and the student newspaper Pause Sprint. At Highlands Elementary, they have a kindness club led by their school social worker. They make posters and spread positive messages around the school. They have a school broadcast that communicates the most current events to the school community. The PBIS team has included students on their team in order to gather their input. And last, student leaders on the playground help younger students engage in playtime before school, and Playwork student leaders facilitate games during lunch. At North Park Elementary, they have a kindness crew. The kindness crew was created as an alternative for students wanting to take on leadership roles aside from student service positions. They created bulletin boards titled Take What You Need. On the boards, there are inspirational words and encouraging words so the students and staff can walk by and take what they need at that moment. In addition, they serve as role models for younger students and facilitate fun activities. Their student leadership works collaboratively with their school social worker and teachers. They provide support across the campus, share weekly information during their morning broadcast, and reinforce behavior expectations. Fostering student engagement is invaluable. By creating an environment where students feel seen, heard, and challenged, we ignite a passion for learning that will last a lifetime. When students are truly engaged, there is no limit to what they can achieve. Thank you for listening.
And next up, we have Ms. Jenny Hill, PTA President from Cedar Creek.
Thank you so much. If you have a child's heart, you have a child's mind. This is a quote attributed to Flip Flippin, the founder and chairman of Capturing Kids' Hearts. At Cedar Creek Elementary School, we are extremely fortunate to have a great deal of teachers and staff invested in our children's social emotional learning. Programs like PBIS and Capturing Kids' Hearts are the foundation to which they approach behavior expectations and classroom conduct. Our PBIS coach and Capturing Kids' Hearts process champion, Jackie Hines, who is here today, was able to demonstrate this commitment in a moving and thought-provoking presentation on the Capturing Kids' Hearts program, or CKH. Enthusiastically greeting kids as they arrive to school, creating a class contract that everyone agrees upon and signs, and celebrating good things are all tools to create a safe and fun environment while promoting that each child takes an active role in their conduct and learning. While these strategies may seem like common courtesy in a classroom, studies have shown that schools that have implemented CKH have experienced a 41% increase in pro-social skills and 33 fewer discipline referrals. As it turns out, creating a sense of belonging and strengthening trust between teacher and students motivates children to do their best and be their best. As a parent of a third grader and a TK student, I admit my patience sometimes wanes when my children don't follow directions. However, a key takeaway from Ms. Hines' CKH presentation was a strategy that I've started using at home. When my child is misbehaving, I calmly ask these 4 questions. What are you doing? What are you supposed to be doing? Are you doing it? What are you going to do about it? I found that this helps keep emotions in check and puts the responsibility on my child to make better choices. Ultimately, the programs our school uses to promote social emotional learning in our children can help prepare them for life in general. I am so proud to be part of a school district that recognizes the importance of these principles and empowers its staff to implement these programs with our children. Thank you so much.
All right, and moving on to our representative from Child Development Programs, Ms. Mary Mann.
Thank you. Good evening, board members and cabinet. Tonight, our cabinet members are presenting an exciting update on our child development program for expanded learning. Our staff has worked diligently and helped prepare this initiative, and we look forward to Mr. Clement and Mr. Heinlein's presentation of new opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to our superintendent cabinet reports. We'll start.
Thank you. I would like to congratulate all the Superstar Award recognitions tonight, like public speaking, writing on a paper. If you have that skill, is also really magical. So congratulations to all of you and all the work that you guys have done throughout the district this year. I know Dr. Hawkins has led quite a few writing workshops and the classes with students. And so that's really exciting to see the end of the year rewards for writing. The other thing is I just want to wish everybody well and they have a wonderful, much needed spring break.
Thank you. Mr. Clement.
All right, good evening, everyone. Just a quick update on summer school and Saugus summer ESY STEAM camp. We are moving from Rosedale to Helmers to accommodate our friends, maintenance, and construction schedules that are going to interfere with that. So it was an easy pivot for us. We were just getting started. So we're going to make that switch and just wanted to fill you in and talk to you about that. I do have to, when I hear the parents talking about capturing kids' hearts and the questions and the different things, it does take me back because I Moreno Valley when I first started in 1990. I never thought I would be that person sitting here saying or covering up how many years it's been, but Harry Wong was my first exposure to behavior before the school year started. And it was, what are you doing? What are you supposed to be doing? What's going to happen if I talk to you again? Make a choice. That was that version in the 90s. So I'm kind of excited to see that kind of brought back and where it goes again.
Great. Mr. Hyland?
Nothing to report from me. I will save my words for our presentation.
Thank you. And Dr. Hawkins?
Well, Miss Sony stole my thunder with the 6 distinguished schools. I've been checking the website the entire month of February. They normally announce in February. They hadn't. So I was very excited to see. Thank you, Dr. Fractor, for checking while we were away at the conference last week. It's an amazing accomplishment, and I just have all of the teachers, all of the classified, all of the leadership at the school sites to thank. It really shows not only the difference that's being made individually for students, but collectively for all of our students. And they will only achieve more as a result of that great effort. So I hope you all enjoy the recognition because you earned it. It's all about you guys and what you've done. To that end, I did get an opportunity to teach in Ms. Abril's class and Ms. Marshall's class at Tesoro. And coincidentally, I was teaching writing. So that was extremely fun. Oh, and I did get to interrupt Mrs. Fannon's class today, but we'll get to that. But congratulations to all our writing students. Writing is a great equalizer for students because those students who write well, they read well, and students who read well don't necessarily write well. And in today's 21st century world, writing, even when it's in a text, is an art form and a necessity. And I think seeing the kids up here has been really valuable. I was working with the writing TOSAs today as they plod through the pacing guides and look for how they're going to leave their mark as they go back to the classroom next year. And was just reminded of how many times they've heard this year how fun it is for the kids to write and have their own voice. And it reminded me of my experience in Miss Abril and Miss Marshall's class because they were like, are you leaving? You're not coming back? Are you going to come back and teach writing again? But I've gotten great notes from them about their progress and what they've done in just the last week. And then finally, I want to say I had the opportunity to visit it at Sky Blue today. I got to be in Ms. Fannon's class and Ms. Valdez's class and Ms. Terciano's class. But I'm most excited about this piece. And so I couldn't wait anymore. I know how dedicated our CSEA people are to CSEA and to their team and everything. But I really, really, really have missed the shadowing. Really, really. Mrs. Aerosmith and I used to do a lot of it. And we haven't been doing it. So I decided to do it myself. So tomorrow I am the head custodian in the morning with Mr. Sal at Sky Blue. So those of you that I saw today, I will see you again. But I'm looking forward to learning more about Mr. Heinlein and Mr. Gayton's recycling program because I'm already stressed out about my trash at home. So why not be stressed out about it here? And learning more about what they have. I know it's terrible, isn't it? Like, do I throw it out? Is it recyclable? I can't do it. But I'm looking forward to get to work with Mr. Sal, and I'm really, really glad that he was willing to do it because he has this really nifty cart he made that I think we're going to make for the other schools. There you go.
Thank you. Mr. Watson?
Yeah, I have no report tonight. I just wanted to congratulate the 6 schools that were recognized as distinguished schools this year. Our certificated and classified staff at all of our schools really work very hard every day to get our students where they are, and it's being noticed statewide and nationwide. That's exciting. We're grateful for the way you all show up every day for our students. Congratulations. That is all. Enjoy your spring break.
Thank you. Mr. Drunke?
Congratulations to all of our writing superstars. Congratulations to our teacher tribute honorees from every school, and I look forward to attending the teacher tribute event later this month. Of course, congratulations to our distinguished schools on that accomplishment, and I just want to say how happy I am to see how those schools and all of our schools are making progress with one of our most important, well, two of our most important goals of closing the achievement gap and improving student achievement. I will add also on the CSEA shadowing program. I love that. I've participated in it multiple times. I certainly would love to see that come back as well. I've worked in the warehouse. I've done the custodian thing. Got to drive the floor Zamboni machine. I love that. It's a lot of fun, and it's a great opportunity for board members to go and work with your.
I guess you got to be a board member to drive the Zamboni machine. All I did was
Yeah.
sweep sand. And it got the new playground underneath stuff, but the sweeping sand, really, I want to drive the
There you
Zamboni
go.
machine. Okay.
And other than that, have a great spring break, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper.
What's this spring break everyone keeps talking about?
Tax season.
Yeah, exactly. Can I drive the bus if I shadow?
You like to talk to this.
It's a risk
I think you need a
management
special
question.
license.
Congratulations to our teacher tribute honorees whose names just came out this week. Huge congratulations to our 6 schools that have been recognized. s- there's 2 comments that really struck me this evening. Mrs. O'Brien said that she thought we wouldn't want to hear from her, or we weren't happy that she was here, but that's okay. But I want to remind us that, as women, we should not be self-deprecating because I personally enjoy you. So I don't know how about they feel, but and the other comment came from my colleague, Miss Grease, when we were commenting, and she said she thought we said it better than she could. And I would beg to disagree. You speak well also. So, and the start, stop, and continue has been mentioned a couple of times. I just wanted to say how impressed I am that Dr. Hawkins would make herself vulnerable like that. And I know from reading, some of the comments were personally unkind. I mean, I know some of them are directed at the district and the policies, but some of them were against her. And I had the opportunity to speak with her not too long ago. And instead of being upset or angry, she was reflecting, and she said something to the extent of like, am I doing these things? And if I really believe I'm not doing these things, then why do people think I'm doing these things? And working on, working on it. And so I'm really impressed by that. And what an example that is. And, for us to take to heart and, take criticism or comments and try to use them to better oneself instead of being defensive. So I just wanted to point that out and say thank you for that particular level of leadership. So happy spring break to all of you who actually get it. And that's it for me.
Ms. Grease.
Congratulations to our distinguished schools. I think it's quite an honor, and it's reflective of the teamwork that our teachers and our CSEA representatives are doing within each school. So I just want to thank you for everything that you guys do on a daily basis. I didn't think the library topic was on people's minds, but it's part of my, I guess, update. I did finally receive an update from Mr. Clement. It is a long list, and from Dr. Hawkins, it is a long list that I am not going to share because it would take me a while. So if anyone in the public would like more information on kind of what the plan is moving forward for the library, it will be done in 3 phases. Nothing is going to happen this year, so people hopefully will, they'll need to wait until next school year, unfortunately. I was surprised that we have been getting negative feedback since August, and it's April. So again, me not being in education, it is very surprising that it takes so long to make changes when the feedback is really clear on what it is. So I'm hoping moving forward, maybe there's more swift action on things that maybe are less gray and more black and white. This is the feedback. If people don't like it, then why suffer? Let's change it. So again, hopefully there's a resolution for the next school year. As I know, as I've visited libraries and talked to the library specialists, they really want it to go back to what it was. And they really want their students to go to the library to read and to learn and to not be on a flat panel. So thank you for everyone that spoke up regarding the library. I did just receive more information on the TOSA program that I inquired about. So I'm going to obviously spend some more time in just learning more about our TOSA program and, is there, quality changes or things that we should be keeping in mind moving forward regarding that program. It's, I think, invaluable to us to have people representing the different areas so that they can provide services, but it's an interesting kind of take on providing additional services. So other than that, again, have a great spring break for those that actually get it and who have plans. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'm one of those that get a spring break, so I'm looking forward to that. Congratulations to I know, lucky me. Looking forward to it. Very excited about the distinguished schools. Thank you to everyone that contributes to making that happen. That's a big deal. That's a state recognition. And we should all be proud of the work that we do, the things that we are able to accomplish, and just being recognized among as being the best of the best. Like that's a really big deal. So thank you for everyone that contributes to that. Also to our teacher honorees, congratulations for the work that you do. I've always had a deep appreciation for teachers. I always will, because I had really good teachers, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I am. They played a big part in my, just confidence and ability to do the things I do. So I'm glad that we're able to recognize our teachers and do some nice things for them. And then aside from that, the only question that I had, because I know there was a lot of conversation around the behavioral council, and I know that there are meetings planned, so I just wanted to make sure that that was clear to everybody. So Dr. Hawkins, we do have meetings that are set up. So can you share just the dates that are upcoming and maybe some of the topics that are being discussed?
The next meeting is on the 15th of April. The meeting after that, I believe, is on the 9th of May. And then I think we have one on the 6th of June. We determine the topics at each of the meetings. And at this next meeting, we decided that we wanted to talk about big behaviors, and they asked for training. We also have talked about the discussions around what creates a quality behavioral program, and looking at some things with PBIS, as well as examining additionally some capturing kids' hearts pieces and some other pieces. But because not everyone will have been trained in capturing kids' hearts, we want to make sure that everyone's having that training this summer, that we do some things around that. So we take it a meeting at a time as we're looking at the different things that we accomplish and what is needed for us to have those discussions and what kinds of resources are needed for the team to be able to make those decisions.
And a key point is that the group is deciding the topics that are being discussed, right? So it's not a
Yes,
top
we
down.
we looked at areas based on information provided in board comments, provided in surveys, provided in best practices, provided in the Keenan report, provided in the FICMAT report, and put together some key areas. Some of those key areas have multiple tasks underneath them. And so it's important for the team to look at it. But the next thing they wanted to talk about was big behaviors in classrooms.
Okay. Thank you. That's all for me. Okay, moving on to consent calendar, sorry. Do we have any items to remove from the consent calendar?
I'd like to remove H-1.
Okay. Okay, so let's vote on H1. Do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and staff, or who would be the comment? Dr. Hawkins, you'd be the.
H1?
Yes.
Yes. I would
Okay.
be the- So this is a contract. As I just finished saying, the Behavior Council had requested that our next workshop be about big behaviors and dealing with how you handle those in the classroom. So both defining them and working with strategies for a general education teacher to address them. Our in-house staff were going to do that, but we know that when we have some of those trainings, sometimes it's not as inspirational as when we have someone from the outside. Mrs. Nowakowski, who is our coordinator of mental health services and works with our social workers and sometimes with our behaviorists, as well as Mrs. Barris and I just spent a week at a conference around conscious discipline, primarily focused on working with administrators to work with teachers and students with big behaviors, and then also at a 2-day part of the workshop that dealt with anger, rage, and aggression. And we were given this book, Managing Emotional Mayhem, 5 Steps to Self-Regulation, and a lot of the strategies. The interesting part about all of that was that a lot of what was covered were things that teachers have asked for, things teachers have talked with me about, things that the union has shared, a whole variety of pieces of information. It seems as though this might be a missing piece for us as a district when teachers are regularly asking for training. However, I have made a commitment to the board and to the teachers in the district that we would have a behavior council to make decisions. So rather than have them read off of a website, I asked the company if we could arrange to have them come and provide a quality day of training for them to be able to see what are the bases, ask the questions, look at this piece and see if it's something that to address our behavior problems we wanted to do further. In addition to that, because we also were visiting for a part of their Head Start program, which is a primary toddler or 3-year-old, which we're looking at 3-year-olds coming into TK next year, and kinder program and preschool program. We have talked with them about the possibility of providing some additional 1-day start of the school year training. I believe, Mr. Watson, you've asked me for a couple of years if we would do a boot camp, and we have done a summer boot camp for our TK and K students in the past, but this is how to take the Harry Wong information and actually use it so that they can fit that all into the 4 hours. It's not that this is going to be for a mandatory training or, I'm sorry, for a mandatory program implementation, but I think our teachers, as I said to Ms. O'Brien on the 8th and 9th, are going to have quite the challenge to go from a longer day to a 4-hour day. They're going to have to figure out how to fit in things like social emotional learning and all these other pieces. What we learned last week is there are ways of doing that. They have a 6 to 8 week curriculum for that specific piece to help them with starting. I've also shared with the board and with the public about my experience in Lori Fry's class and how she works through it and how challenging it seemed to be. However, we learned the strategies for, I don't know what Lori must do naturally during the course of this training. So again, our teachers are asking. I think it would be foolish of us as leaders to feel like we have a solution and not provide them with the opportunity to learn from the source the information. So when they make their recommendations, they are making informed decisions. So I spoke with the company, and yes, there is a $500 upcharge because it was last week that we put it together so that they could come on the 15th. But we felt, the 3 of us, that rather than have Mrs. Nowakowski and Mrs. Nugent do a training and have conversations and merely talk about the experience that we had, we would provide the experience to the 50 members of the Behavior Council by having a training.
So the behavior council is who you receive the training?
For this training, yes, because this is not about the first days of school. This is about just what is conscious discipline? What does it look like? How would it complement? And one of the things that we have talked about in the Behavior Council is the idea that we've had PBIS. I believe we just received an email, I believe the board received it as well, from Mrs. Boydston. And in it, she mentioned, and we talked about this at our last meeting, PBIS is not 100% good and or 100% bad. We've talked as a committee about the idea of what are the components of a behavior program, because all of us who taught in the 90s when Harry Wong was popular know that there were token economies and there were reports and there were referrals and there were tickets and there were all of the things that we see through PBIS. What I do know from both the Keenan report and my own experience is we haven't implemented tier 1 with fidelity, according to the Keenan report, which I would believe, But I also believe that our teachers were never fully trained from the source. It was more of a trainer, 3 people down and 4 coaches later and everybody changing coaching jobs. That is not a quality rollout. And so we need to look at that. However, before we go and buy a new program, it would be important that we know about PBIS and the components of a good behavior program. It would be important that all the teachers have their Capturing Kids' Hearts training so that they know the pieces that offers, because it is not a behavior program either, and that they can have the information around conscious discipline, which is more about the brain science. And yes, teachers have had brain science training. I've had brain science training. Mrs. Nowakowski is a licensed clinical social worker. She's had brain science training, and so has Mrs. Berries. But when you are looking at it through the lens of student discipline and young children and developmental pieces for the specific thing that we are dealing with right now, you look at it very differently. Your training kicks in very differently, and it makes a huge difference. Things that didn't make sense about how we're doing things now make a lot of sense. So it has been suggested that we move very slowly in the past. And so I was at the training, had the opportunity, they were available, and I decided to move quickly.
So is the intention for the behavioral council to use this to help make plans?
Help make plans for the future, or say, no, this isn't something we're interested in. But at least, I mean, the worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to get some really good information. The best thing that could happen is they might find that this is a way to work some pieces in, and then they will help us develop what is the plan going forward. And how do those 3 pieces of research or 5 pieces of research, whatever we come up with, give our teachers the tools and the training that they need to have, and they get that training from the source, not one-offs from whoever we can do. And then we also make sure that we have the resources to support people to do the coaching and the things that normally happen with a good implementation, which haven't really happened with PBIS. And we tried to reboot it, and we tried to do lots of things. But once you roll it out that way, it's really hard to fix it.
If the behavioral council finds it to be valuable,
Then we'll figure out what we're going to do and how we're going to do it and what it's going to cost and what it looks like and how we might phase it and all of those pieces, but they will be very actively engaged in that process.
Mr. Watson? Yeah, I'll be excited to hear the response of the Behavior Council. This is a philosophy that I'm very familiar with and quite fond of. I think it addresses human development in a very developmentally appropriate way that places accountability for an individual's actions back in their own hands. And I've seen it work extremely well. I've also seen it work very poorly in my case, for example. So I give you kudos for moving quickly on this, because in my example where it worked very poorly, it was implemented through that model of I was trained by a trainer who was trained by a trainer who was trained by a trainer, and I got inadequate training, inadequate support. Go figure, in my classroom, it was rolled out inadequately and didn't work until I, a couple of years later, took the opportunity to really do a deep dive and realized that I was misunderstanding the program. And then I had to practice it. It took quite a while before I became a decent practitioner and got the exact opposite results, extremely positive results. So hoping for the best. And thank you for bringing options to the council.
Again, it is just an operational piece. I think you see what we've done with PLCs. The result is in the distinguished school piece. Not everybody has had every individualized training. We'd love to do some more of that as well. But I think with this behavior piece, unlike what we're doing with the PLC piece, it needs to be at least the initial with the certified trainer. So even when we're doing training with writing, I was a national certified trainer for writing. I do the initial training, the writing teachers do the follow-up. I'm doing the follow-up with them and training our writing teachers, and I meet with them regularly to make sure that they're calibrated and all of those things. If we're not doing that, we're not going to have a good implementation. But I'm hopeful that with the 50 plus people that are on the Behavior Council, they will be able to be the ambassadors to their colleagues about what was their experience? What are they doing? They'll get a chance to pilot it before they get a chance to, go to Capturing Kids' Hearts training. One does not replace the other. So if you're working with Capturing Kids' Hearts right now, you would continue doing your social contract and asking your 4 questions and doing the greetings. But what was really beneficial was, especially when we talked about the rage and the aggression, really understanding the brain research around it, having strategies to both deal with it and discipline it, which I think is a huge challenge. And needing people, yes, there needs to be some people, but not more than what we currently have and are working on it. It's just they're working smarter, not harder. They're working more systematically. They're trained. And that's what I'm hoping for. Now, the Behavior Council may say, no, we're not interested. And then we have to look for something else. But they've asked us for certain things. And I'm trying to give them a resource. I think it wouldn't have been wise of us to sit
Whatever
on
we
it.
go with, just like their teaching practice requires that cycle of plan, teach, reflect, apply, this is going to require that cycle of training, support, practice, training, support, practice, so that they can eventually.
Any good implementation does.
Thank you.
Mr. Trunky?
I appreciate all of the things that my colleagues have said, and I want to appreciate also I'm very satisfied with the updates that we're getting from the behavioral council meetings, and I look forward to more progress reports as the committee makes progress. I'm glad to see that we're providing information to them that they are organically looking to get. I know, just one other comment on this, I know there was also a question about expenses related to the training. I mean, you can confirm this, but I mean, I can read paragraph 5 the same as anybody, but district shall not be liable to consultant for any costs or expenses paid or incurred by consultant in performing services for the district. I assume that's your understanding as well, and that there
Included
are
in
no
the
travel expenses regarding this training in addition to the fee that's being paid.
And that's what the upcharge is because being less than a month out, they have to pay more for their airfare and things.
Understood. Yeah,
Mrs. Greaves?
that's it for me.
Yeah, I pulled it because I think, Dr. Hawkins, you said it best, that the 3 of you decided that this was something that we wanted to pitch back to the behavioral committee and not something that the behavioral committee has had a chance to even understand what it is. I don't know if what you've shared with us about it has been shared with them. And I think the point of having a behavioral committee is to allow the behavioral committee to explain what it is they want and need and how and when and where. And again, you said it best, the 3 of us picked it. And I just don't believe when you're setting up a committee that the committee doesn't get to decide what they do. They're taking time away from their day. We are hiring subs to replace them during the day. And I just really, really believe that if we're spending this time and money forming a committee, they need to be the ones driving what it is the district is looking into, regardless of what it is. I don't negate the fact that understanding brain science is a key component, right? It is an aspect of it's an aspect of the overall, but it is not 100% of it. So again, I fundamentally have a disagreement on how this should be ran. And I think the committee needs to be the one deciding some of this stuff. I don't want to hope for the best. I don't want us to determine whatever we decide. We're already spending the money. So we're already kind of saying maybe this is probably what we should do rather than giving the options to the committee. So I don't agree with how it happened. I think there needs to be more oversight from the actual committee. I do agree with CSCA that we need to have representation from that group. So I will follow this up in a formal email so that it's on record and it's being addressed versus maybe being miscommunicated as something else. So that is why I'm not approving it.
So I do want to clarify, just for the public and for my teacher folks who are in the back or anybody who's on the behavioral council listening. They asked us for a training. They knew that staff were going to do that training. We found outside professionals to do the training that would be of the same topic and contents, but we felt of an additional quality that would be beneficial for the group. So by no means is this something that's being done without their consideration. It's actually being done to provide them with a better, more informed training. We were going to spend the dollars on substitutes regardless because the Behavior Council, correct, Ms. O'Brien, has asked for full day trainings every time. So there is the only additional cost is for the actual trainer. And this allows our teachers to have that piece that oftentimes teachers don't get. They get the trainer of trainer of trainer of trainer models. And while I believe we have some outstanding trainers, Andy Sheridan, for example, is a national trainer for the Orton Gillingham piece. We also have people that do excellent jobs of training, but they're not experts with that particular set of processes. So I'm sorry that it feels like we sort of dumped it on them, but I did email them and let them know. I gave them the resources to look it up. I told them that it was something that we would discuss in the future at our next meeting.
And the conference that you guys went to, was there a purpose for that conference, or was it solely to learn about conscious discipline? Or was there just a different purpose for it?
Actually, the reason that we went to the conference mainly was so that we could find out about how to address students who have rage, aggression, and anger.
Yeah.
Especially littles. I'll let
So
Mrs. Perry
I
speak.
just, when I was in my district in Minnesota, one of my early childhood teachers, organically, I don't even know how it started, found out about conscious discipline, and it kind of spread through the district. I had a chance to talk with her. I had a chance to go to one of the trainers. They had a parent community night. And as I was listening to the different brain state models, and yes, I have been in education for a while, have, different degrees, different credentials, but I hadn't heard it packaged or put together that way. And so it's always been something in the back of my mind that's a tool, it's a strategy, it's a framework that's out there. Whenever you hear about something that you've heard about, whether it's in another district or whatever, you have to figure out how it fits here, if it is going to fit here, right? Because we're different people, we're a different culture. And so it's one of those things every once in a while I kind of look on it. On the website. And as I was looking and all of the things that are happening here, I saw that they had a training specifically for the littles. They call it Head Start, but it was for that younger age group that we're all grappling with, and also anger and rage. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the topic as I read through it is what we're talking about. I need to learn more. So I wanted Tanya to come with me because I thought also this is in the wheelhouse of our clinical licensed therapists who can bridge that skill set, right? They have some of those tools in their training. They work with the students. This might be something we could give them as additional tools, not even thinking about teachers. As we went through, I'm just going to say, as for teachers, right? That's where I thought I would start. But as we went to the conference, it was clear very quickly that this was strategies, as we've been talking to teachers and the behavioral council group, and all of the things that we're grappling with. One of the things I learned is that anger, rage, and aggression are all different. The reason they're created are all different, and you deal with them differently. And if you deal with rage and the way you might deal with anger, you might be inadvertently creating this firestorm. And so as they were going through the examples in classrooms, we said, this is exactly what the teachers have been asking for. At my particular group at the Behavioral Council table, they said, we need more tools. We're recognizing the students that are coming to us are different. If it's COVID, if it's the anxious generation and smartphones, if it's social interaction or lack of interaction, society, parents, stressors, all of that, there's multiple reasons why they're coming. But I said, well, we're always kind of conscious about rolling out something new, bringing in new ideas. And they said, we need more tools for the students. And so that's really what began sort of looking what might be out there for teachers. Dr. Hawkins moves faster than I do. And so,
Well, I think
still
that's one of the-
processing and
yeah.
who will it fit? And she's like, we got to bring this back so they can hear about it and make those decisions.
I think one of the best things about this job, and there are a lot of really good things about this job, but one of the best things about this job is that as a teacher leader, and that's how I look at myself, I've always been a trainer of teachers, spent about 25 years of my career that way. When you get to be superintendent and you see something that people are crying to have, and you find that source that you think, oh my gosh, like whether it's a book or a tool or a something, and you have the ability to say to an organization, let's do it, right? That doesn't happen. There's usually lots and lots of committees to go through. There's usually all sorts of hoops to jump through. But when you get to do that, and we have been working on behavior for quite a while, it is by no means solved. We were with teachers and directors of programs, both early start kinds of, programs, preschool programs, all the way through
School age,
elementary
yeah.
schools, yes, through school age children. Everybody's having the same challenges, some on different parts of their journey through using these strategies. And so what was wonderful was to be able to say, just like when we took a bunch of people, over 100 teachers, to the PLC conference, which doesn't normally happen. It's usually second, third, fourth, fifth hand. This was an opportunity to see something really great. And while I couldn't take you all with us to the conference, we could bring the conference to you.
Yeah.
And that's why we did it.
And just to add to what I was talking about in Minnesota, that particular teacher, the reason she was so passionate about it, and now I notice there's an institute out there, so I don't know how big it has become, is that she said, this works. And it doesn't only work with your students, it works with your children and your spouses and some of the strategies. And so it's really applicable. But what I really appreciated about it is it helped me understand myself first so that I could show up to be my best self for the students. And that realization or epiphany or learning or hearing that has been really powerful for me, and I'm guessing was really powerful for her too. But I think that's why people sort of joined her movement, is because she was passionate. She said it worked. People tried out the strategies, when I say people, teachers, and then it just kind of became this thing that people were following and wanted more to learn more.
We got to see people who had Head Start programs in Ohio that were getting ready to be closed because they were so negative. The same program with the same director that was anti-doing any of this work was 3 years later than one of the top 10 Head Start programs in the nation, because of their commitment to doing this work in how they change their staff turnover, how they change their buy-in. And I think another thing for me, besides dealing with the anger and the rage and the aggression and the eloping kids and the tantrums, was the first 2 days that we spent, where it was all about leadership, but it wasn't about leadership in how to implement this program for students. It was about leadership and how to work with your teachers. And one thing that I hear and have heard over and over again is my poor site administrators and how they need to work with their teachers differently, and how the teachers want them to work with them differently. And this offered that. And I thought, okay, if there's a philosophy, I'm not even going to call it a training, that's out there that can both help my administrators relate to my teachers better and their classified counterparts, and our kids, little, big, whatever, do this, and our teachers feel more empowered and in control and knowledgeable, then it's something that we should do. Will it solve every behavior problem we have? Probably not, because the kids are different and everybody's different, and there will be a learning curve on implementation. But I think it is worthwhile for us and shows how we are on the cutting edge to bring this to the Behavior Council to make decisions about how do we do this, rather than have them look at something in one of the brochures that I gave and make a decision that way.
Yeah. Okay. And I'll wrap it up with my comment. So, no, it's okay. So one, I think there is value in bringing people in from the outside who have a different perspective, who don't work with the teachers currently, who are, who they really don't have any background on Saugus. I mean, they'll get some background from the superintendent, I'm sure, but for the most part, they're just bringing in a new tool. I think that's important. I think that adds value. Number two, I think, you know, the fact that we're being responsive to our teachers, this is something that they specifically asked for, is important. And I think it's always valuable to add tools to the toolbox, right? So if we've never worked with this company before, if we've never done anything with them, you will take something away. I mean, I know when I go to conferences, if it's 10 things or one thing, there's always something that I gather that I'm then able to implement. And I think that's important. And I think that's something that we'll be able to do. I agree that anything that we do with the behavioral council should be organic. And so to me, you know, this is a non-committal kind of thing. It's you know, we're doing this training, it's important, we're going to get some, you know, value from it, but the committee is really going to decide how we move forward. And if we, you know, decide to change PBIS, if we decide to do something different, that's going to come organically from this group. And that's important to me. So, I think this is good, you know, and I'm glad that we, you know, we're participating in conferences that are teaching us things about these specific issues, because those are the things that are going to make a difference. So that's my 2 cents. And we had a motion and second. Is Mr. Trunky?
I just wanted to make one follow-up comment, because I know it came from the podium, and Ms. Grease brought it up as well. But because I know that we talked about this when we're talking about forming the committee, and I know we talked about it at another board meeting as well. But the idea that as the committee makes progress, that whenever it's appropriate, the committee feels that it's appropriate, that they will bring in additional stakeholder groups.
Absolutely.
Whether it's CSEA, we talked about parents, et
Absolutely.
cetera, and maybe you could speak to that just.
Absolutely. We are going to bring those folks in. We are also going to bring in Ms. Joseph, the special ed folks. It gets unwieldy. And we felt like we needed to start at the foundation with the general education teachers and the folks that work with them, with those kids in both tier 1 and kind of tier 2. So we had our behaviorists and we had our social workers. We wanted to build team with them, and then we wanted to be able to have the representation. We will be bringing those folks in, but Dr. Stevenson and Mrs. Barris and I are working on a future training model that we can implement for our paraprofessionals. We have talked about it for a long time, but it is very clear that it's not getting better. And so I think even if this weren't something that became our whole behavior program, I do think there are tools that someone who is in the role of being a supporter of a student generally that has challenging behaviors is why they're there, and cognitive issues. So getting them up into their executive functioning skills and understanding what executive functioning skills are. I think this workshop would be something of quality for them and very special. And if you think our teachers enjoy going to something of high quality like that, you haven't seen it till you've seen our paraprofessionals, because they rarely get anything like that. There's not lots and lots of trainings out there for them. And so when we do it, we make a big deal, we bring in lunch, but it's hard to do because there are almost 200 paras, and to get them to all come to a training and find that many subs is difficult. So it will need conversation with everybody about what does that look like and what are we committed to and how many and what can we do and what does it cost? And that will change depending on what we decide to do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I agree. I think the paraprofessionals are a big part of they play a really big role in this. So I want to make sure we don't lose sight of that. We need to do something for them, because they spend a lot of time with our students just as much as our teachers, and they need those tools as well. They need to feel supported and have those trainings and things like that.
One of the things we're looking at starting this school year is any newly hired paras will have a 5-day training before they actually start in the classroom. And it will include a variety of components to get them prepared. We've talked a lot about it. We tend to need the para desperately, and I hate to say it this way, but sort of throw them into the space, and that will make an adult happy that the para is there, but they have no training, so they don't know what to do. And then the teacher has to, and I'm like, this is madness. So we're paying for them to be there for a week anyway for our newly hired people. We need to figure out a way that we can do it as we go through. Then we're going to have to figure out a way we can do the people who are currently employees, but we're at least going to start there when we bring on somebody new and it's November. Maybe they don't start till December 1st because we had to take 5 days to train them and make sure that they were prepared. And that's our commitment. And so we're working through that to start it this summer.
So that 5 days of training is going to take place individually? That's
No, it would be,
November.
no, it would take place, it would take place at different times in the year.
Okay.
So yes, technically they may start one day, but they would know that month. And that actually, she's not here, Mrs. Hines left. She had a suggestion for it for classified folks for TBIS, and she and I were talking about it when I was in her classroom. And so it's not perfect, but yeah, it would be a kind of once a month, not an individual, where we
Okay.
would pull them in.
That's great. It's something that I struggle with at my work as well.
Yeah,
We'll do
it's-
this at the beginning of the year for everybody, and then what
No.
happens to that person that gets hired middle of the year?
Right now, we're really thinking about those people who haven't been here, who come in and they've never done this before. Or we hire them off the street and they're great people and we want to hire them, but they have no idea what they've signed up for. And so then we hand them to the teachers, which is great, but now they've got a kid with lots of behavior problems. And it was a model that worked many, many years ago, I guess. It's not working.
Okay. So H1, we had a motion and a second to approve that item. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes. Okay, moving on to approval of the remainder of the consent calendar. Can I get a motion and a second?
Move to approve the rest of the consent calendar as is?
Do we have any questions or comments? No? Okay, all those.
Get a second?
We did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
didn't
Ms.
hear you.
Cooper. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay. All right, moving on to presentations, 25-26 child development fees or program fee change presentation, Mr. Clement and Mr. Heidland.
Okay, so we are going to talk about our child development program and take a look at the fee structure that we'll need for the 25-26 school year. So as Mr. Heinlein gets that pulled up there, we'll go ahead and go to the first slide. Just a little history with our current program. We are part of our Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, or ELOP, that talks about after-school care, after-school enrichment, Saugus Summer STEAM Camp, and programs like that. We do operate at all 14 regular school sites. The program's overseen by my department in Education Services under the Director of Categorical and Special Programs. There's an Assistant Director of Child Care Development Programs, and then site supervisors who oversee 3 or 2 schools each, depending on the number. There's 5 of those. Each site does have an assistant site supervisor, so they're assigned to one site. And then there's approximately 100 to 110 activity leaders, depending on when you look at the numbers there. Basically, we're operating a program with a 10-to-1 ratio for the TK and kinder students. And we have a 20-to-1 ratio in 1st through 6th grade. And of course, the goal there is to provide a safe, supportive, and fun learning environment while supporting our working families as they're working there till the end of the day. Okay, so this is just a snapshot of some of the fees that you'll find in the Valley compared to our program. Our program is in that last column. In the middle there, you'll see registration fees can range from $150 to $400 per student. And we're $50 a student, and we do cap it at $100. If you've got multiple kids in, 3 or 4 kids, you won't continue to see that fee increase. For a 5-day program that's half day, you can see the range is $30 to $62 a day, or that translates to about $162 to $250 a week. And we're currently at $20 a day, which is about $100 a week. When we look ahead at the changes to 25 and 26, we're going to have some new program goals. Those would include the ability to increase just from a 3.5-hour program to offering a 5.5-hour program so we can support those TK and kinder students. So we'll have the option for them to attend from their dismissal until 2:30 essentially, so approximately 2 hours, depending on the bell schedule of the site. Or they can choose to attend from dismissal until 6 o'clock. So those TK and K parents will have the ability to select the option that works better for them if they choose to participate. Our goal is to increase the capacity to 50% of the enrollment for the TK and K students so that we have a larger capacity to serve more kids up until that dismissal time to the regular school day. So that would mean if we're going to serve 50%, that's approximately 40 to 100 students per site, which would max us out at about 1,040 students. We have another goal is to increase our capacity to 18% when we're looking at the TK to 6th grade, 230 to 6th grade program. I would say right now we're operating closer to around 15%. The 18% or a little higher would allow us about 100 to 160 students per site and would allow 1,720 students to come participate. One of the other goals is in order to make this happen, we're going to increase the activity leaderships. It's currently a 5-hour, and we're gonna make that a 5.75 hour. We're also going to look at adding these 2 shifts here because right now they're all 3.75 hours as our program's roughly 2:30 to 6. We're going to add a 12 to 2:30 shift, and we're going to add a 12:15 to 6 shift. And we're going to talk more about that in the different scenarios as we get going here on another couple slides. We will have then still the 5 site supervisors that are 8 hours. That's current. We will still have an assistant site supervisor at every site with just that small increase in hours there. And then when we look at our activity leaders that we'll need, right? When we look at just that TK kinder window, for 1,040 students with a 10-to-1 ratio for those 2.5 hours, it's 104 employees to do that. When we look at the second shift, or the 3.75, that's 105 employees, right? That's needed for that second part. So it's a real similar number, even though it's going from 50% capacity, right? For the 2 grade levels down to 18%, but it's for the entire grade level span. We're also looking at adding that third shift. So we'll have employees that have an opportunity to go from that 3.75 to a 5.75 hour shift. That would allow that employee to actually cover both shifts. If we had the maximum number of them do that, it would about 99 of them could actually work that full day, and we would need then a few more to cover the first shift and a few more to cover the second shift. So the minimum we would need to have would be 110. And if we didn't have anybody with that and they were all on that split shift, the maximum we would need would be 209.
Okay, it's my turn. So with CDP, the CDP program, it's a totally different way of looking at it than we're used to, right? So typically we're given a revenue number and we kind of back into our expenses. With CDP, we kind of know what the program needs to be and we kind of have to back into our rate. So I separated our expenditures into 2 different categories. The first is fixed. And so these are the staff that we know will be consistent, right? So that includes the director that Mr. Clement mentioned, the assistant director. We have a classified HR person that is works 75% of the time or 6 hours a day, and all she does is work on CDP staffing issues. The 5 site supervisors and the 14 assistant site supervisors. That gives us a total of about 1.9 million. Then currently this year, the program is spending about 160 some odd $1,000 on supplies for the program. So I increased it a little bit because of the additional TKK students that are going to be in the program. And then we added our services. So those typically are enrichment providers that help provide enrichment for the program. So all in all, what I'm calling fixed costs are about $2.7 million. Then the program will have these variable expenses. And these variable expenses are always tied with the number of students that we're serving. So I wanted us to look at two different options. The first being the most costly option for the district, meaning that it's really a look at how the program is staffed. And in the parentheses next to the number of hours in the activity leader columns is the total cost or the average total cost that the district most likely will pay next year for that position, right? So that's really just their hourly rate times the hours they work, times their vacation pay that they get, times any type of benefits that they're entitled to. So the district pays about $10,400 for a 2.5 hour activity leader, $15,000 for a 3.75 hour activity leader, a little over $34,000 for a 5.75 hour activity leader that chooses to receive cash in lieu of any of those health and medical benefits. And then if they do select those health and medical benefits, the cost to the district is a little over $39,000. So Mr. Clement mentioned that we could staff this program with 110 people. If we do so, and most of them are those 5.75 hour people that choose medical benefits, and then we have the 11 additional that have less hours, our staff cost right there is a little over $4 million. If we then look at the least costly option, the cheapest option for the district would be to have 209 different employees working those shorter shifts, right? So we save money there because they don't qualify for PERS, and we don't pay Social Security on that. So the cost is about $2.7 million. When we put all of those costs together, the fixed with the variable, and we look at a subtotal, the district then charges an indirect cost to the program. So an indirect cost is our way of recouping costs such as custodial, any type of utilities, the work we're doing tonight, right? My salary is not paid at all out of CDP, nor is Mr. Clement's. So we typically charge the program indirect. Total expenditures for the program, a little over $7 million for the most costly, and then the least costly, about $5.7 million. So with those estimates for our expenses kind of outlined, we then will look at what our revenues would be if the rate stays the same. But really importantly, we have to look at, of course, two different scenarios. What's the most optimistic we can be about the revenue that we collect? And then the other option is, what if we're not completely full, right? So what if there's students that we could pull off the wait list that we haven't? So we're using 84.5% as kind of like worst case scenario. So when we factor that math in and we separate the programs, so this potential TKK transition program, if it's completely full, would bring in $1.8 million a year, or if it's not, would bring in about $1.5 million. And then the after-school program, if it's completely full at $20 a day, about 6.2 million. If it's not completely full, about 5.2 million. So the difference in the total revenue is right there on that slide. So this slide is really just looking at the revenues minus expenses and showing us if there's a net increase or net decrease in potentially what might happen, right? So of all of our options, we still have this potential to possibly lose money, right? And there's still unknowns, right? We don't know if there's going to be a negotiated increase in salaries that will affect this group as well. So potentially that, of course, would then change the net increase or decrease for the program. So if the rate is increased, and this is just the after-school rate, by $2 a day, and we run that same math, we see that that puts us in a much better position to not be negative, right? So the program would hopefully continue to make money. But this slide, I really wanted to emphasize that the math gets really crazy when we potentially might have to reach out and ask a staffing agency for help, right? So they're very expensive. And that is why we just need to keep this in mind when we look into the future and kind of look at the rates we're charging. We may have to look at this every year. I did want to mention that, you know, I think it was 2 years ago, did we change the hours for our campus supervisors, right? So historically, when our campus supervisors worked less hours, those positions, there was always vacancies, right? And now we rarely have a vacancy because there's more hours. I would anticipate that we would be able to completely staff the program, knowing that we currently, out of the 100 and some odd activity leader positions we have now, 26 are staffed by an agency right now. So to me, that means we could staff at least 70 of those positions that are lower hours and then kind of backfill the need with the 5.75 hour positions. So I think we're going to land, of course, somewhere in the middle of that, matrix. But there's still, there's so many variables. You have to position the program in order for it to be successful and pay for itself, because these programs can never need a contribution from our general fund.
That's what I wanted to have. Can you go back a slide? Because you mentioned something about making money. And I think it's important for the public to understand more detailed what you said, that it can't accept a contribution from the general fund, but also it was never designed to make money as a revenue stream for the district. It was always designed as a
The
service,
CDP
so.
program was always designed, has been my knowledge, to pay for itself, right? So in the beginning, when the district created the master plan with all of the work for the bond, there was a lot of money that had been spent on CDP buildings to keep those buildings current with everything else. There is still work to do in some of our CDP buildings. They really need a refresh, but those funds typically come from this program because of the service it provides.
And that, just for additional clarification, that's what an enterprise fund is. It's essentially a program that the revenue you collect offsets the cost of the program. So you're not making money, you're just offsetting your costs.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
But just to clarify that a little bit further, typically in the past, the CDP program has had, let's call it a surplus for a second, but it increases the reserve that it has because, as you talked about, there are the facility costs, which are not always immediate. They may be 1, 2, 3, 5 years in the future, but that reserve exists to fund those facilities costs.
Absolutely. And I know that we're all very well aware of how much school facilities costs. But several years ago, when we moved the CDP building at Foster, that was $1 million to move that building just to the front of that school site. And so the amount of money that it takes to do any work at a school site is large. And so you do need to have money in the fund in order to prepare for keeping those spaces up to our standards.
And the changes that we've done in the past, the recent past, when we had to close the program and then bring it back online, has allowed us to provide the program and keep a better funding stream, if you will, for providing more service. And you've seen how between that and the ELAP, we've provided an incredible amount of services to students. And so that's why we're here where we are today.
Okay, so this is the information that went out recently to our families. Pending board approval tonight, we're going to keep that registration fee the same. There's no increase there. The TK kinder families will have the two options of just staying until the regular dismissal, which is approximately staying for 2 hours at a fee of $10 a day, or they can choose to stay for that entire time, approximately 5.5 hours. It would be $32 a day. And then the fee for first through sixth grade staying from the regular day to 6, or approximately 3.5 hours, there's the increase of $2, so it's $22. I know that we're not here to approve this part, but for folks that are at home chiming in, I wanted to put some information in case they're looking at this. We're going to be using Elio. They can create their Elio account now. We're encouraging them to go ahead and click that link to get started on that. So when registration does open, they're able to do so. April 2nd is when priority registration for these TK and kinder families will open, along with our unduplicated count students, who do have the first chance to really register. On April 16th, registration opens for our currently enrolled students, and we're also going to include our employees in that timeframe. So they'll be getting some information coming out shortly. And then April 30th, 2 weeks after that, is when the general public will have access to it for folks that haven't been a part of it before and who would like to be. And then on the very last slide, there's information on our website, both about our program and about Elio. So I've included the links there so you can log in and read more about the program, or log into Elio to create that account that you'll need to register your child for the program.
Great. Thank you. Thank you both. Board, any comments?
Yeah, Mr. Heinlein, I think you answered my question, but I just wanted to make sure. Looking at the least expensive option here on slide 6, it's quite a bit of staff members, but you're confident that we'll be able to hire or employ the amount of staff that we need to get that done?
I think it'll be somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
Right. I think we still need to, like I had mentioned, we still have 70 people that are working right now, 3.75 hours. If we can keep those people employed, then I think we could fill the remaining positions with the 5.75 hour, and that should do it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Clement. So this year we operated at about 15% of our student body, and we're looking to go up to about 18% next year. How many families, did we turn families away this year?
We have a small waiting list depending on grade levels and sites.
Okay.
We've recently added over 100 students in, just looking at what was available, and we're trying to get a couple more in by moving some grade levels around or having some different offerings at different school sites so we can
We
get
keep a
people-
waiting list, but it's really hard because if you need childcare, you really can't sit on a waiting list. So that if
Right.
you have childcare, then you have it.
Right.
Right.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So they don't, if we
They don't
call
do that.
them, they don't go, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna come, that often.
We've really looked at streamlining, the process and the different grade level options so we can allow students to move in, I think, easier next year. So we increase the capacity by not really adding a lot of positions. So that was a good side effect of really having to take a look at this problem and dig into it more.
I was glad to see that we were able to increase the capacity without increasing costs significantly. Do we think that adding that extra 3% will come closer to meeting those needs from the start of the school year?
Let's hope so.
Yes.
And no, there's not a strategy.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Trunky?
Just a few questions and some comments. First off, when you referenced the other programs that you looked at in sort of a comparison of the revenues, can you talk about what some of those other programs are? I assume you looked at other local school districts,
They're
private.
Yeah, they're in the valley. I mean, there's the Montessori programs that are out there, tutor time in different programs. I mean, I have the complete list in my office, but I didn't want to put their names on and put everybody on blast. But they're all local.
Okay, thank you. In terms of the costs, I was just curious about one thing. I know that part of the program, the program does provide snacks. Are those included in the supplies costs, or is that something that, at least in the most recent past, that the food services agent has provided with funding that they've had available?
It has depended I forgot what they call it. Supper? I don't remember. But we have also
Can't
paid.
remember an acronym?
Yeah. We've also paid for it as well.
So there's sufficient budget capacity in the numbers that you presented here to pay for those snacks
it's in there.
in the event that there isn't some other funding source that the
Yes,
food services
yes.
agency
Yes, it's in there.
has. Okay. And then you've labeled them option 1 and option 2, but they really aren't options. You're not asking us to choose between
You're right.
option 1 or
They're not
option 2. They're really scenarios. Sort of,
Scenarios.
here's what the worst case scenario is in terms of cost. Here's what the best scenario is based on, various staffing level, how things are staffed, how many kids are in the program, et cetera. So,
We
you know,
presented what the cost would be.
right. So the actual number, which is going to depend on a lot of different factors, is going to fall somewhere between that range. And really all that we're doing here tonight is approving the pricing such that the revenue exists for the program to cover all of its costs. And as we talked about, add something to the reserve for future costs.
Yes.
Okay. And then the last thing, and this is for the benefit of the parents that you're talking about, can you just briefly describe the process that they go through with the LEO app and the information that they need to provide? I know there's a form that has to be filled out if they're potentially qualified for low income, so that the funding, so that the program's free to them, because we can use ELOP funds for that. And then also how the process works for those parents that do sign up, that are in the program, that have to pay, how the payment system works, and how easy it is to handle that program.
So Mary Mann is gearing up with her many emails prepared and ready to go almost, because the specific groups will get a code emailed to them, right, that they'll be able to go on and log in, which is why we wanted to make sure we've included that LEO information. So we're encouraging them, if they have not had a child in the program before and they need to create that LEO account, that they log in to do that. So when registration does open, they can log in. They've got their username and password ready to go. They'll have the information from Mrs. Mann to put in the appropriate code if they're a TKK student, or if they are an unduplicated count student. That code will allow them to register and so forth. And that will continue then as we go through each phase. Each group will get a specific email tailored to them.
Yeah, and I can tell you from personal experience, it's a pretty straightforward process. There is an application or, information you provide, obviously the parents' information as well as emergency.
Information's not for me, it's for them.
Oh, for you, sorry. Well, I'm answering your question though. But so anyway, so it's pretty straightforward. You fill out an application, you provide some emergency contacts. You do get an email. So depending on whether or not you're priority or, wherever you fall in the chain of command or whatever, you'll get an email, you'll get a time slot, you start registration. It's very easy. You actually can just, you add a credit card or however you usually do pay through credit card. So it's an automatic debit every month. It's a very simple and straightforward process.
All the programs and policies and procedures you check off after you've read it. That's part of the contract that's then generated. And then we just have to approve it or not. And that's a separate email they get.
And the last, I'll just close with a comment. This is a program that was started a number of years ago. It became a very valuable thing to our community. Unfortunately, we had to shut it down for a short period of time, but I'm very happy that we've been able to bring the program back, and it's been so robust and now I think bigger than it ever was before. So happy.
Thank you,
with that.
Dr. Fractor and Mrs. Mann.
I have to, shout out to HR. We have all 5 site supervisors hired right now, knock on wood. We've got 14 assistant site supervisors, so every site has one. And it's been an opportunity that has been achieved. So, I mean, those are good things. We've also eliminated the number of contracted folks. We've cut it in half. So we're trying. It's a constant vehicle that's in motion. So be gearing up for the next round.
Not everybody who wants to be an activity leader is cut out to be an activity leader. So finding those perfect people who are willing to stay after school with children of elementary school age, those behaviors and things don't change. And now we have a different group of people monitoring them. So.
But now they potentially have more flexibility if they're only want a very short
Yes.
shift, they have that opportunity, or if they want a longer one, they can have that too.
Ms. Cooper?
Yeah. So I presume that the current 3.75 employees will have the option of increasing or staying.
Mhm.
And then when you put out the applications, will it be like you can apply for 2 hours or 3 or both? And you'll just kind of.
I would
out-
assume it will depend on how many folks we get and the need that we have. But HR is eagerly awaiting the green light so they can start. But they'll be inquiring with current people, and I see somebody moving up towards. She's very excited.
Dr. Stevenson is with her daughter doing some really important stuff this week as a mom. So
So
Dr. Brun.
this is on, yes. So we actually have surveyed our current staff to find out kind of what their availability is for next year. So far, we know that we have 8 of our activity leaders that need to resign due to like school schedules and things like that. The rest have indicated that they're able to kind of switch shifts or remain in there. So we have kind of a good idea moving forward of which of our current staff can stay. And then from here on out, it'll be a lot of recruiting.
Are we allowed to hire high school students, or do they have to be 18 and over?
Be 17. So sometimes we do.
Yeah, we recruited the high schools
Nice.
over at Hart.
Well, thank you for the program. My daughter was in it many years ago and it was helpful. Thanks.
Nothing for me.
Okay. And just, I'll wrap it up. It's a great program. Thank you for including the breakdown of, what we pay versus what you pay for other programs. I think there is a significant difference, and I know that because I've done the research myself. So we offer a good program at a competitive rate. I think it's reasonable to increase that rate if needed. And obviously, if the hours are changing and also CPI and the cost of, doing business, it makes sense. So anyways, thank you for the
She's not
presentation.
requesting any changes, so we're good.
Right, we're
Okay,
good.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to education services, we have 2 resolutions to adopt. The first one is adopting resolution 2425, number 52. This is a resolution of the Governing Board of the Saugus Union School District honoring the birth and life of Dolores Huerta. And I'd like, actually, I'll move to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
And Mr. Clement?
Pretty self-explanatory on this one. So unless you have questions,
pretty
but
self-explanatory.
recognizing and honoring Dolores Huerta.
Any questions?
I have comments.
Okay, or comments?
Just a reminder that Ms. Huerta was at one point a school teacher.
Mhm.
So that's kind of cool. My best friend in junior high was her daughter, so I got to see first sacrifices that she made on behalf of other people. So, and her daughter is the most peaceful person. So, I think she could learn that from her mom.
All right, any additional comments? Clerk, would you call the roll?
Mr. Watson?
Aye.
Mr. Funky?
Aye.
Ms. Cooper?
Aye.
Ms. Garabay?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Motion passes. Second resolution, 2425, number 53, a resolution of the Governing Board of the Saugus Union School District for participation in Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Mr. Clement?
Okay, so as we look at recognizing Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month with the theme this year, a legacy of leadership and resilience. It's recognized during the month of May.
Perfect. Thank you. Any questions or comments? No? Okay. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Mr. Watson?
Aye.
Mr. Trunky?
Aye.
Ms. Cooper?
Aye.
Ms. Garabay?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Great. Motion passes. Okay, moving on to first reading of board policy and administrative regulation 0000, philosophy, goals, objectives, and comprehensive plans. Mr. Clement?
Okay, so for the 00, it's really just the LCAP board policy. So it's 0460. And essentially, when we're looking at this, we have the learning recovery block grant funds that are going to be just outlined in the LCAP moving forward. So we'll be adding some of that information, just the remaining dollars there to be spent. The annual update window is extended until July 1st. So we'll be doing that as we get ready to present the changes or additions, looking forward to this year 2 of our LCAP next year. The equity multiplier piece doesn't really apply to us because it's for districts that are over 70% free and reduced lunch and or income, low income. So we don't have to take a look at that one. And there's also a piece you're going to hear me talk about in a few minutes when we look at the EL piece, but the long-term English learners are a significant piece. So we'll have a goal outlined for them within the LCAP.
Great. Thank you. Next up is conduct first reading of board policies and administrative regulations, AR 5000 students. Mr. Clement?
Okay, so when we look at this group here, 5148, and then we've got 5148.2 and 5418.3, they're centered around childcare and development, which would include the before and after school program and preschool early development. There, do you want me to break them apart separately, or do you want me just to give you an overview?
Overview is fine.
Okay. Essentially, we're recognizing that folks with a dual language or what would be an English learner, right? They have the same interview type process with the questions identifying our English learners, but the state is allowing us not to test the TK students or students that would be in these child development programs because it's not developmentally appropriate yet. But we're still recognizing through the survey questions that some of them are going to become English learners. So that allows the teachers to recognize and monitor them and support them as they go about their learning. So that process is in place. It talks about students being enrolled regardless of their immigration status, following the unduplicated count students as a priority, which we've been doing. The concept now that our extended programs in the summer can possibly be part of the attendance recovery program if what we're doing meets the requirements by the attendance recovery, similar to what we're doing at Saturday school. And then it discusses the preschool early learning foundations, which you heard a little bit about when you talked about our TK and the training that's coming. And I'll just share a little bit with this piece. Last week, Dr. Fractor and I were at Downey Unified in the TK demo room with Leah Eskenazi and her instructional assistant. And we were immersed in TK land to the point where even I wanted to teach it. And they're little, right? So I never, kindergarten, I always kind of wanted to try, but I love first grade. But, you know, we had Downey Unified cabinet. We had Laco's cabinet. Our school was there. Their school was there. All of the Laco early childhood folks were there. There were more adults in the room than kids. And they monitored and walked around that classroom like we weren't even there. Some of them in their trucks that they made with, you know, cardboard, and they were waiting there patiently for adults to walk by so they could proceed through the classroom intersection. And it was calm. And it was just an experience. So it makes us really excited. But one of the things on the wall is they had regulated behaviors by showing pictures of kids demonstrating what does frustration look like? What does anger look like? So you see the kids making, their little faces for surprised or whatever, right on the wall that the teacher could refer to with them and talk to them about. I feel like you're maybe looking frustrated. But it's really incorporating the early learning foundational skills with their regular learning, and that integration piece is going to be huge. So the little side bonus for the training that's coming.
Great, thank you. Yep. Moving on to the next, first reading of board policy, administrative regulation, AR 6000 instruction.
You want to
Just a
I'm
point
sorry.
of order. I want to make sure that we're calling out that these get brought back next
Yes,
meeting
they
for
do.
second reading and adoption.
Yes, that's right. And you just provided instruction on that, so thank you. Okay, moving on to human resources. No?
You want to do the 6,000s?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I do have a group there in the 6,000.
Go ahead, yes.
No problem. With the TK, we are looking at the home language survey again, like I mentioned in the previous LCAP goal. Our long-term English learners are going to be part of our significant subgroups, so we got to make sure that we're monitoring them, including them in the LCAP. When we're looking at science and social studies, there are really some basic small additions or changes. So they're just adding climate change and that concept in when they're looking at our impact on the environment. And then through social studies, the appreciation of different ethnicities. And that about sums it up to that. So we'll bring that one back too.
Great, thank you. Okay, now we're moving on to human resources. Approved declaration of need for fully qualified teachers for the 25-26 school year. I'll move to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Great. No?
It's just a standard.
It's just a standard. Okay, perfect. Anybody have questions or comments? No? Okay, then let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No, motion passes. Moving on to business services, approve Golden State labor compliance, change order number 1, 2-story classroom building at James Foster Elementary School. I'll move to approve that. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any, Mr. Heinlein?
Sure, this is a change order for Golden State labor compliance. They charge us a monthly rate, and since this program or this project is late, we anticipate it being another 8 months.
Okay. Do we have any questions or comments? No? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Moving on to approval of resolution 2425, a resolution of the governing board of the Saugus Union School District to recognize School Lunch Hero Day. You have a
Move
motion?
to approve.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
And who handles this?
Mr. Hyman.
Mr. Hyman.
Me.
Okay.
All right, well,
Thank you.
I am
Oh, thank you.
our
School Lunch Hero.
representative for the Santa Cruz Valley School Food Service Agency, also known as School Day Cafe. And May 2nd is School Lunch Hero Day, where we get to celebrate and recognize the difference that they make at school.
Fabulous. Okay, any questions or comments? No? Clerk, would you call the roll?
Mr. Watson?
Aye.
Mr. Trunky?
Aye.
Ms. Cooper?
Aye.
Ms. Garabay?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Great, motion passes. Okay, approval of resolution 2425, number 55, a resolution of the governing board of the Saugus Union School District approving a joint community facilities agreement with William S. Hart Union School District for Community Facilities District 2024-1. Mr. Henry.
This resolution gives myself or the superintendent authority to move forward with this agreement. This agreement, I believe, was approved by the Hart Board at their last board meeting, and then will come to us. This is in reference to the development on Bouquet Canyon that will kind of straighten up that curve. And there is an update. We know that initially there was 371 dwellings. It is now down to 349 with estimated move-in dates in July of 2027. Hart is the lead on this CFD, so they will form it, they will manage it, and then the CFD will pay us our fair share amounts per dwelling unit. The fair share amount is determined by a fair share study that comes to the board for approval either every year or every 2 years.
Great, thank you. Does anyone questions or comments?
I will move to approve the resolution.
Great.
I'll second. Just a couple of comments. I drive by this every day almost, because it's right near my house. And starting with, there was a piece of property that originally was not included in the development because there was an old house there that someone was actually living in. Ultimately, that house was sold to this developer and became a part of this project. And I think it was about August or September of last year, the developer came in and tore the house down. But even just in the last few weeks or a month and a half, the amount of progress that they have made in totally clearing out all of the brush and everything to get ready to start grading has been tremendous. And I'm surprised to hear how quickly they expect to have occupancy on these homes. Of course,
Some of them,
that's the
yeah.
plan.
Yeah.
And we know how these things go, but I think it means a couple of things to us. I think we need to make sure at some future point that we make sure we know how we're going to accommodate whatever students are generated from that development. But also, since we're approving this CFD and we won't know exactly what that is going to look like monetarily until there's more progress made and the plans get finalized. But I think we need to figure out exactly what we think that money is going to be utilized for.
Yeah, so we're currently waiting for Lennar to get back to us about their price points that they're thinking these homes will go for, if it's going to be really high, right? Because what we have found is that the students that come out of the homes are typically tied to the price of the home. So once we know that, then we'll work with our demographer to get some better numbers of what we can expect from this little new development.
And just if I remember, because I know the demographer report that we got was not all that long ago, this was not included in the demographer's full, the report that they presented to us and was public. They gave us some additional information that included some information on this development, but it was not included in their regular report.
Okay, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think this was one of those developers that they said had gone silent and they hadn't heard anything and hadn't gotten any
Yes.
updates. So they sort of took them off the report. So, okay, that's it for me.
Great.
Thank you.
Clerk, would you call the roll?
Mr. Watson,
Aye.
Mr. Trunky,
Aye.
Ms. Cooper,
Aye.
Ms. Garabay.
Aye.
I vote aye.
Great, motion passes. Okay, approval of resolution 2425, number 56, a resolution of the governing board of the Saugus Union School District to adopt findings that the campus-wide project at Mountain View Elementary School is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Einman.
Sometimes our projects require us to go through CEQA, and when that happens, we reach out to a consultant, and they draft a report and then let us know if it's exempt from CEQA or not. So we do have our report from PlaceWorks, and we're asking the board for the approval of this resolution.
Great. Questions? No, clerk, would you take the roll?
Mr. Watson,
Aye.
Mr. Trunky,
Aye.
Ms. Cooper,
Aye.
Ms. Garabay.
Aye.
I vote aye.
Great, motion passes. Okay, approved to declare certain district-owned property as surplus. Do we have a motion and a second?
Moved.
Second.
Mr. Heinlein?
Nothing to add.
Okay, all those in favor? Unless
I
we
was
have
just going to make one comment.
Oh, one comment or question.
One of the items was described as kidney tables, which sounds really disgusting.
Come on, teachers know what kidney tables are.
Yeah.
Where you take the kidneys.
Like the best table ever.
Mhm.
But the teachers wanted horseshoe tables.
They're all the same thing. I know that they're not the same thing, but they're all the same thing. They're an important teaching tool.
The great thing is when they break, they grow back.
All right.
Isn't that liver
Oh, that's
tables?
liver. Yeah, no, liver tables. Sorry.
Now that we've learned so much about kidney tables, all those in
Being that
favor?
it's April 1st.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Okay, general functions, approve resolution 2425, number 58, a resolution of the governing board of the Saugus Union School District declaring an excused absence from regular meetings for Catherine Cooper.
So
We have a
moved.
Motion second.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? No? Clerk, would you take roll?
Mr. Watson?
Aye.
Mr. Trunky?
Aye.
Ms. Cooper?
Abstain.
Ms. Garabay?
Aye.
I vote aye.
Great, motion passes. And our next meeting is scheduled for May 6th, 2025. I hope everybody has a wonderful spring break. Can we get a motion to, or? Yeah.
Move to adjourn.
Yeah, move, there you go. Move to adjourn. Second?
Second.
Thank you.
9:19.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I figured you guys all agreed.
We adjourned at 9:19.
9:19.